Doctor Who's TARDIS spotted in Star Trek. Strange New Worlds episode. The joy of being a sci-fi fan is living in that sweet space where the impossible feels delightfully plausible. That's exactly the energy that surged through fan communities when eagle-eyed viewers claimed to spot something very familiar in a recent episode of Star Trek. Strange New Worlds. A blue box. A police box. The TARDIS. Whether it's an intentional Easter egg, a cheeky production coincidence, or simply the universe having a little fun, the idea of Doctor Who's iconic time machine hiding in the backdrop of a Star Trek series is the kind of crossover chaos fans dream of. And this tiny moment just unleashed a galaxy of speculation. A blink and you miss it moment that fans didn't miss. In the bustling backdrop of the Strange New Worlds episode, one that was already jam-packed with moral dilemmas, heated debates, and the signature aesthetic polish of the series, fans pointed out a shape that looked suspiciously like the TARDIS. It wasn't front and center. It didn't shimmer with temporal energy, but the silhouette, the color, the placement, for many, it was enough to ignite warp speed conversation online. What makes this so entertaining is how devoted Star Trek and Doctor Who fans can be when it comes to catching references. A slightly blue rectangle, a hint of a light on top, that's all you need to set the entire fandom ablaze with theories, screenshots, and frame-by-frame analyses. And honestly, it's part of the fun. Accidental prop or purposeful Easter egg, the biggest question is whether this was deliberate. On one hand, modern Star Trek creatives are big fans of subtle nods, with Strange New Worlds specially indulging in visual references that reward observant viewers. They've slipped in homages to classic Trek episodes, as well as cheeky nods to outside sci-fi influences. So the idea of a quiet TARDIS cameo isn't totally far-fetched, especially since Doctor Who holds a near-sacred place in genre history. A tiny visual wink like this would be a harmless, joyful way to acknowledge the shared legacy of two sci-fi giants. On the other hand, production sets are filled with background pieces, shapes, panels, and structures that can coincidentally resemble just about anything under the right lighting. A box painted blue could simply be, well, a blue box. And no one from Paramount or the Strange New Worlds team has stepped forward to confirm anything, nor would they, unless they wanted to spark an even bigger frenzy. Why fans want this to be real? Sci-fi fans aren't just excited because they love Easter eggs. They love the idea of worlds colliding. For decades, Star Trek and Doctor Who have existed in parallel spaces, shaping pop culture, storytelling, and entire generations of dreamers. The possibility that the TARDIS could slip into the Trek universe, even just visually, tickles that part of the imagination that asks, what if the Doctor visited the Federation? There's something poetic about it too. The Doctor's whole deal is accidentally dropping into unexpected moments and meddling just enough to save the day. Who's to say the TARDIS didn't land somewhere on a Federation starbase for a quick refueling break? Maybe the Doctor was quietly fixing a temporal rift while Pike and Spock were arguing about protocol. The fun lies in imagining the crossover that could have been, and maybe still could be. A real Doctor Who and Star Trek crossover has long lived in fan fiction, convention debates, and what-if conversations. And while rights issues make an official crossover unlikely, it's not impossible. Both franchises have had comic crossovers in the past, and science fiction is a genre where the rules of reality are gloriously bendable. Imagine Captain Pike trying to hold a polite briefing while the Doctor speaks at hyperspeed. Picture Spock attempting to calculate the logic of regeneration. Consider Lon trying and failing to interrogate the Doctor, who would absolutely wander the Enterprise corridors as though he owned the place. A small TARDIS cameo may be the closest we get, but sometimes that's all it takes for fans to build entire galaxies of possibility. A fun bit of sci-fi myth-making. Whether the box spotted in the episode truly is a TARDIS Easter egg or simply a visual coincidence, the excitement it generated speaks volumes about the passion of the sci-fi community. Strange New Worlds has built a reputation for honoring the roots of classic Trek while embracing the whimsy and wonder of modern storytelling. So it's fitting that a single blue shape could spark so much joy. At the end of the day, the TARDIS showing up in the Trek universe, even briefly, creates a sense of shared sci-fi mythology. It reminds fans that, despite different timelines, tones, and fandoms, both franchises inspire the same curiosity, imagination, and love. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere out there in the vastness of time and space, the Doctor really did take the TARDIS for a quiet stroll across Starfleet Outpost. After all, stranger things have happened.